Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and this is going to be the first of a three-part series where I craft with Kendra's card challenge number 9. In today's video, I am going to make these 3 cards, and I will timestamp this video in case you want to skip straight to the card making. But I will also be showing how I choose and cut down the 6 sheets of pattern paper. Let's make something. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to start off by choosing my papers and cutting the 6 sheets according to the cutting guide that is provided in each of Kendra's card challenge. This is a free PDF that you can download, and if you want to play along, then check the description box below. I'll link to Kendra's card challenge where you can find this PDF. So I knew straight away that I wanted to craft with Tonic Studio's latest color trend. This is called Coral Skies. It was introduced last month, I think, and it was part of the craft kit. I think it was number 61, and it's the one that was themed sort of with the sailboat and the bottle, the glass bottle. I think it was called Message in a Bottle, in fact. And so how I like to choose my papers is I do like to look at all of the card sketches. So this quarter we have 15 card sketches. And what I like to do is look at them to determine which papers generally get paired together. That way, as I am choosing my papers, I can keep in mind how they are going to be used. And what you'll generally tend to find is that the earlier papers, so towards A and B, those tend to get combined with each other, and then towards the end of the series of card sketches, you'll find less of those patterns being used and more of the later papers like E and F. So not all 6 papers are going to be combined together. So that does make it kind of easy to find some pairings. And usually on any single sketch, there's only one, maybe, or no, well, I would say generally 2, sometimes 1 or 3 as well. But I do find that it's easy to kind of work from the sketches when I'm picking my papers. So each of the cutting guides that you'll find in the PDF, there's an icon of a pair of scissors. That indicates to you where to start your first cut line. And then from there, just pay attention to the additional cut lines and make sure that you're not going to cut through any particular segment or piece. Another thing in terms of how to read the cutting guide, the numbers generally indicate the length of that particular section. So it's not in reference to, say, the upper right hand corner. So what you'll see is the actual size of those segments. In addition, on the cutting guide, you'll also see arrows in each of those sections, and that is an indication of which way is up. So that actually might inform your decision. So on a paper like this, you could actually use this going horizontally or vertically in terms of the stripes. But when you look at the cutting guide, you may, and the sketches, I would say, you may want to run the lines horizontally versus doing them vertically. So that's one thing to pay attention to as well. And in some cases, the arrows go in multiple different directions like this one. You even have one arrow where it's pointing towards a diagonal corner. And for those, it's really best to choose a paper that is not directional. That way, regardless of the orientation that paper ends up being used, it's going to feel correct. And so that's another thing to pay close attention to. Now for diagonal cuts, you can do what I'm doing here, where I'm just putting a pencil mark where the lengths of the segments indicate to, and then I just line up those 2 pencil marks in my trimmer, and that gives me my diagonal cut. And I like to use these small little accordion folders to store all of my bits and pieces, and I have them labeled according to the sketch number where they will be used. So here we are with sketch number 1, and I will be making all of my cards in order. So in this first video, you'll see cards 1 through 3. In subsequent videos, you'll see them created in order by sketch number as well. So I've got some of the lovely pearlescent paper, which I've used a die to cut out the center because most of it's going to get hidden. So I like to just kind of stretch my specialty paper a little bit, especially since this is paper that came in the kit. So it's not like I have a full pack of it. I only have that one sheet that was provided in the kit. So I want to make sure that I can stretch that as far as I can. And in each of the sketches, you'll find different degrees of additional papers that you might need to bring to the party in order to complete the card. And it doesn't necessarily have to be more pattern paper. Certainly it can be. It can be solid color cardstock. It could be a background, an inky background that you've created. It could be an embossed background, whatever you like. And I think that helps to kind of theme your cards more strongly in different directions if you want, so that all of these card sketches are very very versatile in that way. You can really create whatever occasion card or style of card you'd like. And one thing that is kind of fun that I don't do much of at all really is use washi tape in my card making. And so because the kit did come with 3 rolls of washi, I decided to just give it a try. So I've cut this particular strip down, and instead of where you see the horizontal and vertical lines that are indicated in black on the sketch, I am going to use this washi tape instead. And I don't consistently do it, but for this these first 2 strips here, I did put on a little bit of liquid adhesive because washi tape is pretty low tack. So I don't want it to lift. So I did add a little bit of liquid adhesive, but I don't think I consistently did that throughout, even though I do think it's a good idea too. And I am changing up the sketch a little bit, which is the beauty of sketches, because they are a starting point. You don't have to feel boxed into exactly the sketch as it's shown in the diagram. It's a nice starting point. So for example, those 2 strips of washi tape that I added, they on the sketch run over top of this rectangle here, but I chose to put it behind underneath the rectangle. So a little bit of a difference, but it still follows the spirit of the card sketch. And really that's the beauty of sketches. They are a nice sort of jumping off point for your creativity, and it's just a way to give you some different ideas for layout and composition. So I've got a variety of different sort of dark navy blue drops. There is one that does come in the Coral Skies color trend, and I think it's actually Velvet Evening is the one that is officially part of the trend. But I also happen to have Night Sky, which I really love. That's also a glitter drop. And I have, I think it's actually called Navy Blue Metallic drop. And so when I'm not too sure what I want to use, I just make my drops on a paper liner, which I can peel them off later when they've dried, and then sort of audition the one that I like best. So now we're on to sketch number 2. And so here I am using some additional pattern papers that came from the 6x6 Coral Skies paper pad, as well as pattern paper A as indicated by the sketch. And it's a really lovely color trend that has some really nice corals and navy blue. So love the color combination. And here again, I'm going to use some washi. And what's really nice about washi is that it is a little bit translucent, but if you back it onto white, then the pattern does come out very, very clearly. And so your washi is going to look a little bit different just depending on the cardstock or paper that you back it onto. And so really, really enjoyed kind of experimenting with using more washi tape on my cards because they are fun and I have quite a bit. I just I just never think to use them. But you can basically use them as you would any other pattern paper, really. And if you wanted, you could just back it onto some white cardstock like I've done here, and that pattern does come through really, really well. So lots of fun, and something that I'm really glad that I experimented with. And so you'll see more because I think there were 3 rolls of washi. The other 2 are in the blue colorway. And so this die set that came in craft kit, Tonic's craft kit number 61 is really, really wonderful. And this is the stamp set that came with it as well. So lots of really fun sort of sea, themed both dies and stamps, and I really love the silhouette birds and palm trees because I think it makes for a really nice scene and doesn't have to necessarily be ocean or sea. It could just be kind of tropical and maybe even like a little beachy. So so really, really fun. And silhouette die cutting and silhouette stamping is fantastic because you don't have to color. So it does make the process go a lot faster. And since this palm tree here is going to get placed partially over the banner, but I do want it to hang off the banner a little bit, I've put some liquid adhesive on the part that is on the topmost layer, but I've put some 3D glue gel on the parts that are hanging off of that fishtail banner because there's just different layers, different levels of cardstock there, and the 3D glue gel is nice for when you're attaching something and it's not all going onto a level surface. So that's why I've chosen to use that. And I do love these birds in flight. They are really wonderful because they're different sizes too, so you can really get that sense of depth and some of them feeling a little bit further away than others. Now on this card, for some reason, some of these papers and the colors and everything made me think of sewing as a theme that would really fit these papers well. So I picked up, I think this was during the last vault sale from Tonic, where they open their vault and they sell past monthly releases that may or may not still be available, and sometimes they offer some really great discounts on them. And so I can't remember the exact name of this one, but it was all sewing themed and wonderful stamp and die set. And so you'll see in this set of cards that I use for my focal images both the craft kit as well as this particular stamp and die set. I can't remember off the top of my head if it was a showcase set or a designer's choice, but I want to say I think it's a showcase set because there's stamps and dies. But again, I'm using some of that fabulous washi tape, and this tape, it's a solid color. So I figured this is another great way to just get some solid color cardstock almost by just layering that onto some white cardstock. And because it was designed to be part of this color trend, it's a fantastic match to all of the other colors in this paper pad. So I've used that to kind of line my top and bottom borders on this strip. And I'll assemble this lovely, I think it's called a dress form. I should know this because my mom was a seamstress for a wedding dress designer. So she had, I think, a couple of these in our house because she sewed a lot at home, just her clothes and our clothes growing up as kids too. So really, really wonderful. And I love the ornate die cut that you can layer on top of this because it is two separate dies, one that will cut out the outline and one that you can combine with a Verso die to cut out all of that intricate detail. And the mirror cardstock was also part of the craft kit as well. And here, I'm trying to use up some of my older pattern paper scraps that I just haven't gotten around to using. So I'm some of them are white on the back, so I'm just using it as white paper essentially. And here I'm using some scraps just to even up the layers behind this element here because it's going over top that band, which has a couple of layers of paper under it. So just by adding a strip or two of just some scrap paper, it helps to keep everything nice and level. And so then I'll start to kind of build up the rest of this card with the dress form and some of the additional die cuts from the sewing set as my focal image. And the So Happy sentiment is from the sewing showcase set, but that double-ended fishtail banner is actually from, it's a die from the craft kit. And I've got some of this gorgeous thread. It's really, really lovely metallic thread, super thin and drapes beautifully. So I love it. And I've just threaded it actually through the needle, but that needle is just a die cut from silver card stock. So I love all the little dies in this set because you get a lot of really fun little dies that are standalone, like the needle and the little thumbnail that I also have. And I'm just gonna bunch up this thread, and I've got some glue gel behind the little thimble to just tack that down and keep all of that loose thread attached to the card. And then it's just a matter of collaging up the rest of the elements. So I'm using the 3D glue gel just with my pokey tool here, just to get a little bit of it underneath the parts that are kind of going over a cardstock that might be not layered as much underneath. And what's great about the glue gel is that there is a pretty long open time before it completely dries and sets up. But once it sets up, it's gonna hold all of that dimension, and it's gonna be nice and strong. So you just want to make sure not to put anything on top of it while it's still drying, because then that gel's gonna kind of ooze out and flatten. But the other nice thing about it is that if that happens, you can try to rub off some of that, any excess glue that has oozed out. And also part of the die set are multiple types of buttons, and I just added some diamond glaze to give it that little bit of shine after I die cut that out of some of the pattern papers. And I actually found, to be honest, I found the Night Sky glitter drop, which isn't part of the trend, but I found that to be a better match than the Velvet Evening glitter drop that actually is part of the trend, just because it's darker. I think it's more of that deep navy blue. And so here's a final recap of the 3 cards that are the first 3 sketches of Kendra's card challenge number 9. In my next video, I'll make another 6 cards, and my third and final video will be the last 6 cards. Thanks so much for joining me today. You'll find links to everything in the description box below. If you are a subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And if you aren't already subscribed, I hope you will consider subscribing now and ringing that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post new videos to my channel. Thanks again. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.